Hello, hello, and welcome back to Soulstar Radio. I'm Jacquelene Closemore, and we're coming to you live from Southwest Victoria, somewhere over the rainbow. I'm just fiddling around on Facebook trying to figure out how to find this live feed. It's quite amusing, actually, in kind of a weird kind of way. So feel free to give us a call in if you wanted to connect with me and have a reading. I won't be able to see any of the chat screen at the moment, apparently. Oh, I found it. There we go. Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. Got rid of that one. So I've just found it. Good-o. And hello, Raoul. I just saw your comment. So this is me for the first time in my show being able to see people writing stuff in. So do feel free to give us a call. Once again, we can do readings for you on air. It's an interesting time. We've actually entered autumn officially here in Victoria, Australia. Although it's supposedly been autumn for almost a month now, it's kind of taking its time to get here, and we've finally got the leaves coming off the tree, and also, the winds are going, and it's good old double jeopardy with sinusitis. So if you if you are a hay fever sufferer or asthma sufferer and you're in Australia, I just, particularly Southwest and the Eastern Seaboard, I just really think it's a good idea to make sure you've got adequate medications or homeopathic remedies, as may be the case, maybe a bit of both, who knows. And for all of our Northern Hemisphere people, of course, you've got spring, so you well and truly know what that's about. So it's kind of, I guess you could say that we're, all in Congress with each other, which is probably more than Congress is doing right now, as far as the asthmatics and the hay fever people amongst us, of which many psychic people can be. Hello, Julie in Australia. Hi. And also we've got Anita saying hello. We've got, I'm new. How do you get a reading? Well, you can call in. You can write a comment saying, I'm new. How can I get a reading? And I'm assuming that they actually, in the studio there are dealing with that. They also get a bank of callers. So what can happen is that when you are registering your interest in having a reading, you go on a bit of a callback list, and you need to make sure that you're available when they do call back, because it's a limited number of calls that can actually be handled per evening. So if you miss a call, then what will happen is they'll go to the next person. So sometimes I've actually had people emailing me in and saying, I've tried to call and I keep ringing, and I've just been ringing you 20 times now, and it's like, yeah, wrong time of the day. But thank you for your interest. So it's just really good to maybe just send the one message, express that interest, and then they will get back to you. And as well, if you are contacting me, you can contact me on my radio show website, which is different to my paid readings website. So if you're wanting a reading on my show with me, what you can do is write to me at if you go on to www.soulstar.media, MEDIA, as in news, or you can just Google Soulstar Radio and you'll find the website there. You can hit up the contact page, send a message, and you'll go in the queue. Please do be patient if you're sending multiple emails to me. It sort of can be a bit difficult because I do have to sort of queue people up as well. And sometimes we're having guests, so sometimes I'll actually put it on to the next show that I've got a guest on, where they can also be, answering those questions for you as well. So do feel free, to stay in touch that way. And that's sort of where we're going there. Now I'm just rolling down the screen here, feel like, yep, got all that covered. I'm just checking it because I've just had the comments getting away from me there. We've got Cindy in Homestead, Florida, USA. Are you there, Cindy?
Yes, I am. How are you? Good night.
Hello, and good evening and morning and afternoon, depending on where in the world everyone is. Thank you for calling in. And what I do is I can work with dates of birth first off. That sort of stops me from reading every single person I pass in the supermarket, which is not always unamusing. So if I can start with your date of birth, I can do a reading there for you if you would like.
Okay, January 13, 1982.
Not a worry. So I do feel with you that there's a lot of seriousness you put into things that you do. There's a real interest in being the best at what you're doing that you can be. You really do go the extra mile. There can sometimes be exhaustion and disappointment around people who perhaps, you can feel like they're taking advantage of that or not really respecting it. I do feel with you there's a lot of sensitivity of energy there, and I do feel you've got a lot that will be going on in the heart, specifically on the emotional level, where you can sort of be having to kind of really assess how well to trust people, I guess I would call it, and when to sort of hold back. You are capable of being bold if you need to be, but you can also be a bit suspicious of people, quite rightly, by the way, of, when and how much to sort of open yourself to people, because, there's this thing of having been disappointed in people before that you thought were genuine. So, it's a really big heart you've got there, and it can be that it's a bit difficult sometimes to let go of issues as well. I do feel that you... when you give with your heart, it's with all of your heart, but other times you sort of shields up, just sort of holding those shields up and kind of, protecting yourself a bit there, which I can understand. And it's just about taking it a bit gently and carefully with how you treat yourself, particularly this year. This year is all about you. Quite literally all about you, but it's also all about your growth, development, change, but also spiritual awakening that I think would be opening up more. And I would suspect you've been feeling more sensitive to energies, particularly over the last 6 months than other times in your life, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, everything you says is accurate, everything.
Thank you, Cindy. Now, was there a question you wanted me to look at for you today?
Yes, I wanted to ask about a relationship.
Yep, and that's just literally coming out the cards. I've actually just got this one coming up here. That's a Three of Swords. There's other really good cards there too, by the way. But yes, the question you wanted to ask, sorry?
Well, there's this guy that I started dating. His name is Amir. Things have been a little distance with him. Yep. I just met someone else online who is more serious, but I don't know how to trust that. His name is Arjun, so I'm like in a dilemma because the guy that I just recently met online, whose name is Arjun, he's very serious and very and ready to jump into a relationship.
Okay, no wonder I was talking at the very beginning about having to be a bit careful there. I really like that you are using that approach. I'm sorry that Amir was being, I feel a bit hot, cold, a bit sort of non-committal, not really giving you clarity about where he stood or what he's about and all that sort of thing. So I'm actually kind of glad that happened that way because it's made you more aware for this particular connection you're making at the moment. I think it's really important to be able to meet face-to-face, whether that is over the internet via Skype cam so that you can see that who you're talking to is who you're talking to, on a video. That's really important in this particular case. I have to urge you. So I do think that skepticism is a healthy approach for the moment. And the old saying is follow your heart but take your brain with you. So make sure you're doing that. And I do think you are. So I think you've got the right approach here. I do actually feel energetically, wow, sorry, I just went into your orbit. I'll explain that in a minute. I do feel that you're actually going to be meeting someone very soon who I actually feel has dark brown or black hair. I'm not sure about the complexion, whether I'm looking at a Caucasian person or of mixed race that has lighter skin. But I feel with this guy, I'm like, yay, oh, goody, safe now. So, if I was your mother, which I'm not old enough to be, I would be very happy with that guy. So very happy with you meeting that guy because I feel like I've finally arrived home. We're not quite there yet. So do keep talking to the people you're talking to at the moment because this is also really about you trusting yourself. and about learning more about doing that. So even if the situation is not perfect, it's a great education. You get to have, the ability to sort of look back on it and go, right, well, I don't think I'll ever sort of get confused about that one again. But the guy that's coming, we like him. We all, my AGM and I very much like him for you and feel that we can relate. And I think he may be 3 away. I don't believe that's 3 days. I think we're dealing with 3 weeks or months. I cannot tell you which, but I can tell you that. So I do think that's going to be a much better, more clearly understood connection where you know where you stand, and you will be able to suss them out as you go along and know that you can trust them. But it is always wise to, to listen to your inner instinct and intuition as well. And I do feel you end up very much in that solid connection long term. We're going places, we're building dreams and houses together. I was just seeing the floorboards. You're able to actually work together in some way. So that's going to be quite fascinating. It's like you are a support to them. You well and truly have your own career going on, but you're able to be a support to them, but they support you in many other ways. It's like a really mutual exchange there and a sharing, of energy rather than, doing a Tammy Wynette. It's actually looking really good with that future one.
Okay,
but with the moment,
it's someone I haven't met, or is it the guy that I just recently met online? Because the guy you describe is like the guy that I met online.
Well, that's why I'm saying, yeah, good. That's why I'm saying get to know him. I really want you video chatting at the very least with this guy so you can see each other. Yeah, that's really important because his energy does come on quite strong, and you just need to have that actual connection, because it's one thing to connect with someone over the net. It's another thing to actually be in each other's presence, and that's where the energies can actually really see each other, because the internet can throw off a different vibe, if that makes sense, than when you meet someone. And if we get too intense on the net, having not met, then when you do meet, it can actually be a bit confronting, energetically. So, it's good to get to know each other gently, both video and then also actual meeting. And then once you're actually meeting, it's like, oh, yeah, cool. I can really vibe with this. I was actually, the reason I sort of mentioned your aura, and I was like, whoa, I was actually looking at your aura and seeing I was seeing a few different colours going on, but I was actually seeing that a sort of a warm purpley mauve energy going on, and I actually had pinks and oranges going on there as well, and that was on the incoming. So I was sort of like, yeah, we're in the right zone here. So please meet this guy. That's what I would say there.
I already told him about the Skype, and I already told him that he needs to come here so we could actually physically meet, because I'm not going to date someone if I haven't physically met you.
Yep, that's exactly right. But either or, the guy I'm seeing, I feel that you have a very strong, healthy, that's always good, relationship with them, and you're really able to work in together. So I hope that helps you today, and I wish you every success, a whole lot of love, light, and mwah, to you. Feel free to stay in touch if you need, and you can connect once again through the show, through AONR Radio as well, and also through the Facebook page for Soulstar Radio if you're wanting to find me. Now, next we have another caller. I'm excited. My whole energy's changing, actually. I sort of feel like I'm with Fairy Floss in the school fair for some reason. So we'll find out what on earth that's about. Probably Elise is scratching her head right now, but I'm sure we're going to figure out what the symbol of that is. Possibly the needing to kind of enjoy things at the moment. So we've got Elise in Charlemont, Massachusetts. Are you there, Elise?
Yep, I'm here.
Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for calling in. So I was just getting a very interesting kind of symbolic image before I came into speaking with you, but I'll get onto that in a second. Can I possibly have your date of birth? I can work with a reading for you from that. It just stops me from reading everyone as I pass them by and slightly going insane.
Sure. It's January 25th, 1988.
Brilliant. A lot of strength in your energy, and I do feel no one can do your head in as much as you can. You sort of, hang on, was that the right thing to do? Oh, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You'll be very determined, focused, and able to help other people get their focus and very practical and realistic with them. What can happen is that you can sort of get a bit self-doubting after the fact, I think I'll call it, when it comes to yourself. So you'll make a decision having made the best choice that was actually possible, and that's not just possible within your thinking, but just actually the best decision possible. And then what will happen after the fact is you go, oh, was that the right choice? I've got to think about this. Oh,
yeah.
Makes sense? Yeah. Oh, wow. It's just like a science laboratory in there, isn't it? So most times you're really, really articulate. If anyone, now just remember this one for the rest of your life, if anyone is ever accusing you of being stupid, just remember that it's actually that they don't like themselves and that you actually prove to be smarter than they are, and they really don't like it. I'll never forget an author who at the time was a friend, and they actually said to me, darling, if I could paint like you, I would never write, because only a genius can write and paint. Are you so arrogant as to think that you're a genius? And I said, thanks for that encouraging talk. I just will really remember that, and I wanted to give you that comedy because you do need a good laugh at the moment.
I do, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. So when someone's accusing you of being stupid, it is that they have, they have a really false sense of their own intelligence, but they are incredibly insecure when they're doing that. So, just breathe, smile, relax, and ask yourself now, and you're asking them, but it's a rhetorical question, you're not asking out loud. Now, who are you fighting so hard to convince? Me or you? Because I think I know it might be you. Yeah, so when that's happening, just let that go. Don't let it get you. Most people will recognise what you do and how much impetus, energy and heart you put into things. You really connect to people through the heart. You can understand the most complex stuff as long as the person writing it or speaking it is actually coming from a heart and also integrity. If they're not coming from heart and integrity, you are gone. You're out of here, eyes glazed over, can't remember a thing, probably can't remember their name, probably because you don't need to. So you could be really good in university lectures as a talent scout for potential lecturers that are actually any good, and those which we should possibly let go. So that's what I would say there. Now, this year for you is all about new beginnings, but we're sort of finding it a bit like Clash of the Titans at the moment, and we're just waiting on the Kraken and possibly Perseus with the unicorn. I don't know why Andromeda didn't write in on the unicorn, like women's lib, hey. But really what it is you can sort of be feeling as if you're facing what can seem a bit insurmountable, and it's just about having to kind of breathe, relax, and know that this too will pass. It's just a challenge. You take it as a bit of a spiritual test rather than taking it on personally. And once again, when people are blustering at you, just laugh through it. Just laugh through it. Things will improve financially. It's been a long, hard road for you on many levels, particularly emotionally, and it's just about breaking things down to right now, this is what I can deal with, this is what's urgent, this is what must be done. And you need to make sure that if you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, that you are kind of just saying, well, I can't ring the call centre at this time. I'm going to breathe, relax, go back to sleep. 9 o'clock, that's when I can do stuff. Okay. And regular exercise will be fantastic for you in setting up your day, even if that starts with a 5-minute walk. But it's just really important for you to just keep that movement going because that'll help you shed the energy. What happens with you sometimes is if someone is so outrightly, disgustingly, awfully abusive in some way or really jolting your sensitivities, what can happen is you go into a shutdown mode. It's like, those little tiny goats and they're like, boing, 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 and they sort of go on their side, and they're like, they fainted. The fainting goats. They're sort of like, and then they're up again and they're going, oh, that was fun. Let's go and do it again. And so what happens is you go into that sort of almost emotional fainting. Yeah. What we need to do is maybe when you can feel as if someone's about to what we might call launch into that kind of behaviour, is to just imagine bringing an invisible shield around you. Maybe it can be Wonder Woman's shield, and you just put that in front of you, breathe, relax, calm, center, focus, feet on the floor, feel the tree roots growing down through the soles of your feet into the earth, anchoring you really solidly so that when that energy comes towards you, you can ground yourself and boom, energetically in the mind, not literally with the arm, because they're going to go, what on earth is she doing? But you just do that energetically, and then it goes back, right? And it's not about sending it with judgment back to them. Oh, look, I'm sending this back to them. It is about going, I'm shielding, okay?
Yep.
And then by shielding, it does just repel and go wherever it needs to go. If that means that they sort of get a bit stunned and suddenly can't finish the rest of their sentence, and then we can... And then we can hand them a stick of fairy floss. Mentally, not physically. Once again, they're going to look at you strange. But if you can kind of do that a bit energetically, what it'll do is reduce this impact and it'll stop you from going into a bit of a shutdown. And then you later on going, oh, my God, why didn't I say that to them? If you're centering, you're going back into yourself, shielding, then as they say something, you can say, well, that's interesting. I never would have seen it that way. Thanks so much for your input.
Yeah.
Because by saying that, it's sort of coded language for thanks for sharing that. I never would have thought of it that way. In other words, I never will. And I'm just going to go about doing what I was going to do in the first place. Ha-ha! And I'm going to be fine. Thanks for that. So that's sort of how I would kind of use this energy. Yes, of course, there are times when you need to literally take on board what they're saying. Other times you can be thinking of you being the container ship and them being, the container of really bad products from somewhere you don't want them on your ship, and you're taking it on board and it's actually going overboard onto the tugboat next to you and they don't know it. But, you can do visualizations like that just make it all fun instead of so serious. And, because it does get really heavy. So it's really, that must be why the fairy floss was at the school fete. When I came into the call, I'm like, oh, fairy floss at the fete. What am I doing with that? And it was really just about you finding ways to, in your own mind, lighten up the situation around you that's going on that is heavy, and kind of making fun of it, because that lifts you up out of it, and then you're able to see the bigger picture and get more done. Was there a quick question you wanted to ask as well? Because I feel like I needed to coach you on that stuff first.
I love it. No, that was so great. Probably career. I just started a new business, so I'm kind of curious.
I'm excited because you really needed to get out of where the heck you were before that, and it's really good. I feel like you're going to be able to rewrite the rules on this. I don't quite understand what I'm meaning by that. I hope you do, because otherwise I'm insane. And I do feel as if you're going to be able to corner the market. It's very, very niche in the way you're going to do this, and people will like that approach. People actually, when you're running a business, they actually are going for your energy. They're connecting to you on an energetic level, and so they can buy whatever it is from anywhere, even though yours is niche. They can still, other businesses will be doing something kind of similar. So, when you are in your own energy and you're being your unique self, and really running with that and running with what makes your heart sing in running a business, then it will draw customers, because your energy is actually quite magnetic anyway when you get going. And you would have found at times when you go into an empty shop, they haven't had many customers all day. You walk in, you relax, you're like in the zone, and then you've got a couple of products and you're like, how come I can't get to the register? Where did those people come from? So, there's a magneticness there when you relax and get into that zone. So that's why the gym, maybe, at the start of the day, whether it's walking, whether it's yoga, whether it's Pilates, whether it's actually a gym, however you need to do that. And then a little bit of a mini meditation, because I don't feel you can sit there and do, for like an hour. I would instead have, I would instead have you doing a moving meditation, whether this is playing a drum, whether this is playing a Tibetan bowl, whether it's actually certain Tai Chi movements and exercises that help open up your energy. You can do the same through yoga. That will open you up for the day. If you do that every day like a ritual, it becomes a mantra that just moves with you automatically, and then that guides and protects and revitalizes your energy, but it also invokes a lot to help you really go where you need to go with this. And I do wish you every success with that. This is certainly the year to do it. Next year, you'll be building a heck of a lot with this. There will be talk of partnerships, but remember that you must have the control because otherwise it's no longer your vision.
Okay.
It's really important to keep the soul of the business going by keeping your soul singing. I hope that helps you.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, any other quick questions at all?
I'm pretty open. Is there anything else you need to tell me?
I really got the thing from your last job. I just started singing in my head. I'm not out loud because I think I'd frighten people today. I actually got the song, What Do We Do with the Drunken Sailor, early in the morning. It's like, the deck's going like this, and it's like, So it's that's why I said it's really good to have gotten out of there, to be living in true essence in the idea that you're running with here with the business and to keep it going. So that's why I said it was really good to get out of there.
I just put up a business display actually yesterday, and I'm just curious how that's going to do.
I think it's one of many different approaches, a multi-pronged approach that's actually going to really get this going. I got light peppermint green when you were talking about that poster, so it's like a whole new life here begins. So you go rock it out, sweetie, and I wish you every success. Thank you so much, Elise. Thank you to all our callers. Sorry to all the people who've been writing down the screen. I have seen you. I've sort of said hello where I could, but couldn't get to everyone. Catch you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye!